Asians are a turnoff. That was what I believed growing up and what I kept trying to convince myself as I tried to date only people who weren't Asian. And I reflect back and I think this stemmed from my toxic desire to really disassociate myself from Chinese culture. You know, I grew up hating being Chinese and I didn't feel like I was westernized enough, so I overcompensated by clinging on to the westernized image of who I thought I should be. But I realize now that this toxic mindset kind of deterred me from understanding myself and my own culture to the best that I could. And as I was thinking, you know, deny, you know, you're westernized, you know, because I was born and raised here. I mean, like a Chinese person born in China that moved to America wouldn't really call themselves American, would they? But my mindset started to shift in college when I found myself dating someone who was actually Chinese. I remember we exchanged stories about our family and our childhood, and I felt a kind of strange nostalgia. Like I was remembering parts of myself that I had buried. With previous partners, it was always like harder to connect with their family because they were different in culture, upbringing, and it was harder to relate. The only problem I had with that Chinese partner at that time though was that she spoke Chinese completely fluently, whereas I struggled. I struggled with her family and I couldn't connect because I'd neglected the language as a kid. And so while I felt disappointed, it also made me feel very curious to learn more about Chinese. I remember finding myself immersed about learning more about Chinese culture, and it made me feel more motivated to improve my Chinese because it felt like it'd make not just like communication with their family easier, but just my culture better. And it's so crazy how I always think that Asians are a turnoff because now that I'm more connected to my culture, what I realized from dating someone from pretty much every single culture in the world at some point is that sometimes the people who get you the most will be the ones who come from where you're from.